We're back up and running then. Well, apologies for the brief technical difficulties. Don't worry, you didn't miss much. Just a bit of an interview with Corey Cook. Unfortunately, that I don't think we got that for you guys here today. But we are back to green flag racing. We are on the restart lap, and DeCiani slipping back in a hurry as Kozlowski almost gets into it physically with Robert Pattengale. We're back to green flag racing, though, with Barnes and Grisbaum working the top side, 1-2.
Man, Greg Bartlett definitely had to not realize the green flag was getting ready to come out. You see he already just went a lap down. I mean, wow. 4 laps down right now, but fighting right now. Jeff Barnes kind of working with Andrew Grisbaum. I said it before, I think Grisbaum's probably got one of the cleanest cars out there right now, so no wonder he's showing him a lot of pace. Going to be trying to push Jeff Barnes here. Robert Pattengale, though, up to third. Look at the run these guys are getting right now with the 57 pushing. We saw the 57 of Cameron Stone earlier getting in an accident, but he's looking a little spicy right now.
And now the top 5 all looking set to run the outside lane. This is an interesting call, right? You very rarely see drivers all running the outside universally like that. Grossi doesn't stick up there for long, though. Jumps down low. Pattengale thinks about following. And this has left Cameron Stone out to dry. Stone, of course, running without a back bumper and with some pretty significant front end damage, but still keeping up nicely with the rest of the field despite being collected in that incident. This is interesting for him as Grisbaum jumps down low. Pattengale's going to follow and go to second.
Yeah, Grisbaum showing a lot of speed. He's got Pattengale behind him, but Jeff Barnes and those guys are starting to recover up on the top. He's got some good pushes coming from Cameron Stone. You see Al Kozlowski. He's been fast all night long. We see Josh Schaffner also joining that top line. So 4 versus 4. Chris Johnson going to be the deciding factor here. Who's he going to go with? Looks like he's going to stick to the top. Al Kozlowski, though, trying to take him 3 wide. He thought about it, but he's just not able to get there. Whenever you dip out like that, you hit a wall of air, and you saw exactly what just happened. Al Kozlowski almost flew through a crawl.
And Grisbaum still looking for the low side. Jeff Barnes up top. Kozlowski wants to find a way through it, but there's just nowhere for the 88 car to go. He thought about 3 wide up the middle, but that hasn't gone so well the last few times it's been attempted in this race, so he decided to think better of it and tuck in line. So let's see if he's still got a solid 9 cars up to pace and ready to tango here in this league group that are still very much up to pace and willing to just battle it out with one another. And good thing, too, we still got over 30 laps to go. And so these guys can just calm it down a little bit, and we still have all 9 of them fighting for the race win. By the time we get to the end, Stone shoves Barnes as Al Kozlowski jumps down low.
Yeah, G&G definitely going to try to work together there. You see Al Kozlowski and Josh Schaffner, of course, they're going to go together. You've got Triad up on the top, losing a lot of speed here. Barnes falling back as Chris Johnson also pushing Schaffner there. So bottom line, it's going back and forth here. I mean, you were talking about these guys were going to calm down. I don't think that's going to happen at all. These guys are out here for blood. They want to win this race. The gloves are off, and soon I do believe we'll be entering that fuel window, I think, in the next 10 or so laps. Well, maybe I'm wrong. No, I don't believe I think I'm wrong.
They aren't backing off. You don't say. I mean, good grief. Good grief. This has just been absolutely insane so far this race. Even when you got like about a third of the original field size, they're still providing some absolutely amazing racing. Really going to show why, when it comes to the oval racing scene, Brian, Talladega is right up there in my top 3 racetracks. You can never go wrong with a plate track like this. I mean, Daytona is nice and all, but it's too narrow to realistically make a whole lot of moves other than a 2-wide pass, right? Talladega, forget 2. You can make 3, even 4-wide passes work.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And every time you see Talladega come up on the official season, too, for iRacing, the A Open, I mean, you'll see 300-plus people trying to participate in these races, and no wonder why. I mean, these guys have a ball doing it. I mean, it's high-intensity action. It gets your adrenaline pumping. I think I'd love to if we get it to where we can get heart rate monitors on some of these guys, especially during some of these crashes. I guarantee you we have some big jumps in heart rate.
Oh, yes. There will be some pretty significant launches there. So, looks like we'll be tucking in single file, and we'll get a bit of a breather at long last. It's about time that we got the chance to take a bit of a breath ourselves up here in the broadcast booth. Still going to be 32 laps to go when we cross our finish here. Here's the look at the battles further down the field. Oh, O'Hara getting into it with Derek Jacobs, trying to clear. Jacobs was not about to let him in.
I was about to say, they single file up front. They are not single file back here. They are racing hard. They were just 3 wide, and man, these guys are fighting hard. A lot of damaged cars. Paul Olson, though, leading this pack back here. What a great race from him. You know, even though he's not on that front pack, he's still in 10th. I mean, that's a solid day.
And Jacobs going to go high side to try and get around the likes of Jeffrey Souza collected in this latest caution period that we had. But with nobody to work with him, he is going to have to wait a little bit longer. He's going to have to slip further all the way to the back of this field, which will be all the way down to, I believe, 17th place overall. He got 1 or 2 lap cars also in the mix of this, which kind of make it a little bit more difficult to tell right off at the top of the head exactly where everybody is when it comes to actual on-track positioning.
Yeah, because Mark Sanchez is in that little pack there, too, and he's actually 7 laps down, but he doesn't seem like he's losing any pace. But one thing that I kind of forgot to even notice was, you know, Matt DiCiani started that, decided to stay out on that last caution. He is way back there now in 16th, so you can tell that damage really does affect these guys' cars. I think that's what this whole pack here is, just definitely trying to, you know, they're trying to make one good car in between all of them. But still, the front pack, single file, not a lot of stuff going on up here. These guys, I think, are resigned to really just, you know, play nicely until we get into the final stages.
Play nice. That's exactly what you got to do at this point in time. I mean, there's no point in battling like you're coming to the end of a stage, because it's not going to do anything but hurt yourself. You have to really think about where you want to be putting your cars when it's in a positioning like this. You know, before in the race for the opening 2 stages, that was the time to really just push as hard as you possibly can. Now it's about the mind games. When do you want to poke your nose out of the line just to let people know that you're about ready to make a move? When do you want to come to pit road? And so on and so forth. All of these little factors constantly filtering through drivers' heads as they all try to take into account all of these factors at once.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. I mean, a lot of people say that, you know, plate racing's easy, but, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. You got to be doing a lot of mental math while you're out there driving, and also managing the gap you have to the back bumper, the guy right in front of you. You know, there's just, I think plate racing is an act of balancing many different things all at one time, multitasking.
Look on the outside lane, 2 cars trying to make moves. That was Cameron Stone and Jeff Barnes that tried to make a run, but they ended up only getting crossed up, and I think it came from Jeff Barnes. Tried to actually overtake Stone. Turns out he was not as fast as he thought, so he had to tuck back in line. And good thing, too, they were about to lose the draft. They were certainly at risk of being in a position where they could have lost the draft.
I do believe we have 28 laps remaining here. This should be the fuel window, so could see green flag pit stops soon out of here. I mean, I know we just had a caution not that long ago, but I do believe we could see some guys with some different strategies. You get down there as early as you can, be good to the end on fuel. Then again, you know, you also could maybe wait to pit, maybe don't take as much gas when you do decide to pit, to maybe spend less time on pit road, because that's going to be important.
You mentioned it properly. Oh, hello. 1 car slow on the bottom. That's Greg Bartlett. It is. The 77 car. Now, is he out of fuel? I don't think. Oh, no, his engine let go. Turn 2.
Oh, no.
Yeah, his engine popped, and he's going to keep it to the apron, so we're not going to get a caution for this. I'm pretty sure we are going to stay green. He's well off the racing surface. So I would be very surprised if we had a yellow thrown for this one. But Bartlett's just struggling to coast it around, and poor him, he's going 30 miles an hour, and he still has so far to go.
Yeah, he's not going to make it. If I was him, I'd just hit the brakes and take a tow. I mean, that's... Man, you hate to see that. A lot of these guys have just been a big, bunch of punching bags out here, and I think Greg Bartlett's been one of them. You know, sometimes you're the fly, sometimes you're the windshield, and I think tonight a lot of these guys have been that fly. You know, but luckily Al Kozlowski, I think he's been more of the windshield here. He's been taking charge of this. Him and Josh Schaffner. I mean, wouldn't that be something? They're going to try to get a 1-2 finish here from those guys. Seems like everybody's still really chill right now, which is kind of surprising. I mean, we saw the intensity throughout this whole race has been really high. A lot of guys have been, not having that long-term mindset. I think maybe they starting to realize, hey, we got to make it to the end of this race to win it.
Sometimes it takes a couple of very firm knocks before you really start to get into your head that it's a long race, there's a long way to go, right? And I think Talladega is really one of those races because of how fast you go. You feel like this race just whips past you, but it really doesn't. You have to always be very, very patient when it comes to races like this. This is one of the biggest tracks where patience is absolutely key to winning a race. This is on board with Josh Schaffner, right behind Kozlowski, really giving you a good driver's eye view of what it's like to be tucked in behind the race leader. And it's not any easier for the guys even further behind because they got even less visibility than Schaffner has.
Yeah, that's one thing that this cockpit camera really does show is the lack of visibility. It's hard to even see that yellow line when you're following right behind someone. And so you have to be so focused, and you have to have a lot of trust in that guy in front of you that you're following him. What are you following him into? That's why a lot of accidents happen at this track. Because I mean, you could an accident could happen way up in front of the field, and you just won't even know it because you can't see. I mean, look how big those cars take up that windshield. I mean, it's just not a lot of space to see for sure, and a lot of patience. I think you're exactly right. A lot of patience being showed by these guys, and this racing, plate racing, you have to focus so much. You never can lose focus, and when you're sitting here pressing the gas down and almost flat out, I mean, you almost get a little bit of a white line fever, like you get on the interstate, almost start to drift off, but you don't want to do that. You have to be focused at all times.
Had that happen to me a couple of times late at night. I've admittedly almost fallen asleep. It's easy to do when you're just kind of driving and you got like the constant just drone going into your ears. Because let's be honest, it's not the driving in a straight line that gets you. It's the very, very steady drone that just fills your head. And it eventually just becomes white noise, right? And it's almost trying to just lull you to sleep.
Yeah, and the thing is too, I mean, when you are kind of in that little bit of a fog there, if something does happen, you're not going to react to it as best as you would if you were focused. And and when things do happen here, you have to have like such a quick response time, and we've seen a lot of guys really display that here tonight. But are they, maybe mentally drained at this point in the race?
Doesn't look as though a lot of these guys have been thinking about going to pit road just yet. We are within 23 laps to go now. So I think we're almost at this point at the time where we'll be seeing drivers making that lunge into pit road. But it's going to be a little ways yet. There is still a bit to go before we really find ourselves at that point where we need to come into pit road. These guys have been out there for a while, yes, but they can still go, I'd say, about 10 laps or so longer before they really need to start thinking about pitting.
Yeah, and also, a lot of times when it comes to these plate tracks and any track, you want to kind of try to split the run in half. I mean, I think these guys are like 19 laps into their fuel run right now. As we discussed earlier, they can make it about 28 laps. And you said it before, 23, 22 laps to go. I mean, yeah, I think in the next handful of laps, I think we're going to see some guys taking a trip down pit road. But I've been wrong before.
We both have when it comes to that sort of thing. I mean, that's not unique to anybody. I'll say this much when it comes to my predictions for drivers coming down pit road. I tend to be a driver, not a strategist. I leave the strategizing to people like Souza who actually know what they're doing when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's important to be able to know what you're doing. This is chess at 180, 190 mile an hour, so it all is pretty much strategy. I mean,
I remember there are some of these guys that love to just game out every possible scenario. And one of those drivers, I just mentioned him now, but I've had a lot of conversations when it comes to pitch strategies with Jeffrey Souza. And he can go on these like 10, 15-minute long tangents about constantly, taking into account every single factor when it comes to figuring out when you want to come down to pit road. And then you have me here just thinking, I'm just going to come into it when everybody else does when my tank is dry. those are my two indicators that it's time for me to start thinking about coming into pit road.
Well, we did see someone just decide to go down pit road. We saw Matt DeCiani and Mark Sanchez make their ways down. They are in that second pack, of course. I think we might see some guys here shortly. I mean, in this front pack, I mean, I'm curious. I think in the next couple laps, maybe we'll have to wait and see. But some guys already having that inclination, and maybe, also you got to think DeCiani has a lot of damage on that car. Probably just decided, you know what, I'm going to go down here, just go ahead and get that pit stop out of the way. It really has just been so clean and green up here in the front. These guys have been just giving each other a lot of room and respect, which is surprising considering what we've seen earlier in this race.
In this grouping.
I mean, yeah, just about 15 laps ago, these guys were fighting with everything they had.
Continuing to wait to see when these guys are going to come down to pit road, and obviously it's going to be a case of when one driver comes down, everybody is going to come down. You're not going to get the usual situation on mile and a half. You're going to get two, maybe three come down, then the next lap another two or three, then the last two or three. It's going to be everybody in this lead pack. That's realistically what these guys are going to have to do if they want to find themselves still with this leading group with a shot to take the race win by the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, you could see some guys maybe try to play some type of strategy to maybe they try to catch these guys off guard, discuss it with each other. And
Jeff Barnes is no longer on the racetrack, and I have a very strong feeling that our 9th place driver has just had a catastrophic technical failure of some sort. Looking at this now, this was the end of turn 1. This is why our screens went black for a minute, because it was Barnes, the car we were tracking, into turn 1, drifts up, and slams the outside wall.
He just disconnected, yeah.
You know what? I think his screen went black, and then his computer crashed.
Oh, no.
That's the only possibility I can think about that one, because he
lost control of the vehicle before he even exited the sim, so yeah.
That tells me he couldn't see where he was going.
No, I think you're exactly right. So now a 10-car pack is now a 9-car pack. Or actually an 8-car pack.
I was going to say it was already a 9-car pack. It's an 8-car pack now.
Definitely hate to see that. I mean, that is unfortunate. I mean, getting involved in a wreck is one thing. I mean, that's something, gets you mad. But when something like that happens, it's literally out of your control, and I think that makes you even madder.
Yeah. It's always unfortunate to see drivers having to disconnect due to technical difficulties. It's one thing if you get taken out, right? Because at least then you've got someone to be mad at, right?
Exactly.
What are you supposed to get mad at if it's a technical failure?
You going to start punching your computer?
Nope. I'm not about to spend another $2,000 on another setup.
But there are people out there that are like that. I mean, that person that throws their controller across the room.
Well, controllers are a dime a dozen nowadays.
I don't know. I've seen some really funny videos of people putting their fists through TVs,
The good old days of 2006. Such simpler times way back when. So it's Kozlowski, Schaffner, Johnson, Grisbaum, Pattingale, Grossi, McMeekin, and Stone. Now for 8th place. There is a secondary pack way at the back of the field, about half a lap back. It's headed up by Paul Olsen. You're looking at them now. You got Olsen, Pasalakwa, Wachinski, Souza, O'Hara, and Jacobs. That is 9th on back to 13th. Then Jacobs is 1 down.
Yeah, this is a group of heavily damaged cars right now. I mean, we saw Greg Wachinski earlier in this race sustain catastrophic damage. He's really showing right now that does not have to be the end of your race, though. I mean, he, definitely putting that, getting, cutting off the bleeding a little bit here for him, in 11th place, and still could get more positions as this race goes on. I mean, another one, we just mentioned him, Pasalakwa, Brandon there. A lot of damage on that car, but they're not letting that affect them. They're gonna keep out there, stay out there. You got to admire the persistence and determination.
Coming to 16 laps to go this time by, and as we continue to get ourselves set up here for green flag pit stops, why don't we jump up to that top grouping again, and we'll ride on board with Robert Pattingale for a few laps, show you what it's like around this racetrack here. It's time for some crank it up here from Alabama.
Pitting in.
41 pitting.
And there it is. Pattengale pulls down and in, and he's taking a good chunk of cars. Everybody's coming on in. There's a huge lockup from Grisbaum and Wayne Grassi. All 8 cars into pit road at the same time. And how about Grisbaum there, Brian, lunging from 4th place into 1st as they rocket down to the pit road.
I'm a little worried about that. I think that he might get a speeding penalty. That was he was really fast compared to those other guys.
Still good, though.
Well, that's good to see. It looks like he's just going to take a short stop, get that gas, and get out. A lot of people doing the exact same thing, so everybody acting like they have one mind right now.
And they're all out nose to tail, so we could very well see these guys linking up in the same 8 car pack here. You still got Paul Olson back to O'Hara that have yet to make stops as well.
This time.
There's a good number of drivers now, and if we look up to Paul Olson, you'll see there are 5 cars on the lead lap in this group. Everyone else in this grouping are cars that are lap down. So we've got all the cars that are laps down in the mix of this pack as well that are actually on the circuit. And we're now going to be seeing every one of those drivers starting to make their turns down into pit road as well.
I think they have to. I mean, we talked about the fuel run being 28 laps. These guys were on about almost 29 laps, so definitely having to pit here. Great job for Brandon Pascalacqua. Looks like he got a lot of time there on Paul Olson, so I think he's going to probably come out in the lead here for this pack at least.
Meanwhile,
some action going on, in the front here, Al Kozlowski taking the lead.
Yeah, took that one away from Cameron Stone, who is still so damaged. I don't think he can really stay up there in the lead. You saw how quickly he got caught and overtaken. It's a case again of you can stick with the pack, but it's very, very hard to lead it. But so far, doing a good job, as I do want to point out, Rob Pattengale, the 8th place driver and the first of the cars that called he was going to be pitting under that pit stop, has lost the lead pack. He's now stuck with Jeff Barnes, making it a 7-car pack to lead the race.
Man, I almost saw a big moment there from Chris Johnson. You know, some pushes there coming from, I do believe, Cameron Stone. Almost got him sideways. See Schaffner going up the track a little bit here. But right now, Jeffrey Souza leading that 2nd pack right now, but I do believe we're going to see Paul Olson getting a huge run up to him because he's all kind of by himself. But the race is definitely heating up. 10 laps to go, soon to be 9 laps to go when they cross the line.
Yeah, it is so far being a very, very intense race for all of these guys out there in the field. It's at this point the question of how long will it take before they really start to make moves. They were being so civilized just a little while ago in the run-up to the pit stops. But we know for a fact that's not going to last. It's only a matter of time before that lead pack in particular starts to race it out again for the race win now, as we're under 10 laps to go. It's crunch time now for all of these guys to try to get themselves sorted and set up in a position where they can go for a race win.
Yeah, and we're reaching that part, too, that threshold where teammates don't matter anymore. You know, you're going to see probably Josh Schaffner even try to throw in on Al Kozlowski. I mean, right now he's being really nice and pushing him along, but at some point, you know, that old dynamic's going to change. I mean, Josh Schaffner going to want to get a win. I mean, we talked about it earlier, Nolan, about the top 3 in points drivers not showing up here tonight. Schaffner, he's set to gain a lot of points here, even if he finishes second. But if he definitely probably would more than likely want to win the race.
So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh all in a line, and they are starting to catch up to Derek Jacobs, Matt DeCiani, and Mark Sanchez. That is 14th and 15th battle amongst themselves, as well as Mark Sanchez, who is a little bit further down the order, several laps down in 17th place. They are absolutely going to be catching them before the end of this race. Question is, are they going to be so eager to move up and out of the way for him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have some different schools of thought when it comes to getting out of the way. I mean, sometimes it's safer to just stick onto that yellow line and let them get around you on the top side, but sometimes it's not. So it just really all depends. Like we were discussing earlier about the limited visibility. You know, when you come up on a lap car, the guys that are in that pack might not even see that car except for the leader.
Exactly. It depends on where you get caught. If you're caught on a straightaway, your best bet, I would say, just go down onto the apron. That's the best and safest place for you. Get down to the apron, slow up a little bit. If you're being caught in the corner, though, get as close to that outside wall as you could possibly get without running into the wall itself.
Yeah, and if you do run into the wall, I mean, you want to stay up there, too, because a lot of people like to make that jerking motion when they hit the wall and they jerk down onto the racetrack, and that causes all sorts of problems.
And looks like they're going to be taking the outside wall approach to staying up and out of the way. Al Kozlowski going to be putting all 3 of these drivers now laps down as they approach turn 1. 6 to go from Alabama and the Rock Auto 250. And looks like there will be no issues for them. Jeff Barnes has made the call to come to pit road for his final stop on the night. As down from 16th place, he was already, though, 7 laps down and out of the running.
Yeah, it's pretty single file here in this second pack, too. So really, the action is up at the front. I'm curious, like I said, I really think that the team thing is going to go away here. I think any moment we're going to see some guys start to make moves, you know, start to maybe even be talking with one another saying, hey, when are we going? When we're going to try to make this move? You got to time it out right. Just like I said earlier for the stages, you have to time it out right. If you make the move too early or too late, you could just not be there where you want to be when you cross that start-finish line. And, you know, that, like I said earlier, the positioning of the start-finish line here at Talladega is so much different than it is at Daytona. You know, Daytona is right in the middle of the front stretch, but here, you know, it's almost right on the entry to turn 1 or a little bit, you know, further back, but, you know.
And that gives the upper hand to the outside lane because obviously you can carry a bit more momentum around that outside line through the tri-oval by being able to carry more speed thanks to the banking. So that is why it is so critical that the start-finish line is on the exit of the tri-oval. It almost guarantees that if you're on the outside lane, if you got a good pusher, you should be able to push your way up and take a race win if you're right behind the leaders.
Yeah, that's the thing is, though, you have to have a good pusher. I mean, everybody here at the end, I think they're going to have a mind of their, you know, trying to be a little greedy, you know, help themselves. So is anybody going to be willing to make that sacrifice, you know, to push someone to the win? You know, they will gain position if they do that, but, I mean, everybody wants to win themselves. I mean, no one wants to come in second place. especially, true drivers. A lot of drivers, I mean, I've talked to so many drivers to where they finish in second. I'd be like happy. I'd be so happy if I finished in second, but they're like so dejected and disappointed,
3 laps to go this time by. Honestly, at this point in time, I would almost say it's better to be in third place, because then you can open up that third lane potentially and go for the lead on the outside lane. The one place you don't want to be when trying to defend for the lead at a plate track is in the lead itself, because it's very, very difficult to slow up and actually be able to get around and hold on to that lead. So as we've hit 3 to go, I think it's time to pop that question, Brian. Who do you think might come out on top in this one? Because it really is almost a bit of a crapshoot when it comes down to that final lap.
Yeah, I mean, because Al Kozlowski's at the mercy of everybody behind him right now. Everybody's going to be trying to work to get around him. I want to go. I'm going to say that yellow Pennzoil machine, that 7 Wayne Grossi. I feel like you said, I think he might get it. He's a really good plate racer.
He doesn't win often. I can't remember the last time we saw him in victory lane. It would be great to see Wayne Grossi back in victory lane. And I believe he only has 1 ISCA career win to his name. I do believe that was at a plate track. So this could very well be Grossi's time. And look at this. They're starting to back off a little bit. They're setting themselves up for the last lap.
Yep, 2 laps to go. Soon to be that white flag waving out in the air. This is go time. This is when we start to see these moves. This is when we start to see at least guys preparing to make these moves. Wouldn't be surprised if Grossi maybe sends a little private message to Chris Johnson and say, hey, man, we got to go. I mean, I know Johnson, is not probably going to be good at leading, but I think if he's pushing Wayne Grossi, it could work out well for him. And I'll tell you one person who's been ready to go this whole race, or this whole time, has been Matthew McMeekin. He has not stayed in line at all. He's been waiting, trying to bait people to go to that top line. Oh, there goes Grossi. Grossi deciding to go to the top. Oh, for a moment, then dips back down. Maybe trying to get some air on that nose. Kind of curious.
Didn't have the momentum. Didn't have anybody to come up there and help him. Now look at this. Grossi once again to the top shelf. Trying to sign drive with Josh Schaffner, but he has no one to help him. G&G working as a group down on the inside line. Schaffner pushing right up there to the back end of Al Kozlowski. But Schaffner, don't forget, is in a much better position when it comes to a championship than Kozlowski is, so he knows he needs every point he can get to capitalize on the top 3, being MIA from Talladega through 3 and 4. For the final time today, will there be a move between the Gas and Go trio up in front? A couple of guys thinking about it. Cameron Stone beats them to it. Stone goes at the top shelf. Grisbaum goes with him. Schaffner's going to be shoving Al Kozlowski through. Schaffner looks high. Not going to get there, though. And now, Al Kozlowski takes the win at Talladega.
I was surprised at Josh Schaffner. It looked like he waited a little bit late to try to make his move, but I think he was just really trying to help out Al there. Great win for him.
I thought Cameron Stone would be able to make the run up and be able to take the win away from Kozlowski. He might have had a chance, but Grisbaum went for glory and pushed it 3 wide high. And at the end of the day, Grisbaum does make up a couple of spots, but wasn't going to be nearly enough as Chris Johnson held on. Grisbaum will finish down in 4th. There you can see Grisbaum to the top shelf. I think that was really what screwed Cameron Preston there. He might have had a shot. It would have been slim, but it would have been there. But when Grisbaum went to the outside lane, that really sealed the deal.
Yeah, what a job there from Al Kozlowski. Of course, we talked about Josh Schaffner, the top 3 in points not being here. He's going to gain a lot on those guys. Definitely hate that those guys are, not here to answer it for themselves, but, still. One of them, we got to, give a big shout out, though, to the man behind the cameras tonight, Kenny Powell. I mean, that was a big sacrifice not making a start here tonight and, going down behind the cameras. I mean,
have not tonight.
It's got to be a bittersweet moment back here for him.
Well, with all cars across the line, it's time to take a look at your official post-race result as Kozlowski burns it down on the front straightaway. It's Al Kozlowski to take a race win over Josh Schaffner in 2nd, and it is going to be the likes of Wayne Grossi down in 3rd with Andrew Grisbaum in 4th. Chris Johnson rounds out the top 5 with Cameron Stone down in 6th. Matthew McMeekin is 7th with Robert Pattengill in 8th. Jeffrey Souza and Thomas O'Hara round out the top 10, Brian.
Paul Olson going to be finishing here 11th place, 12th place Brandon Pasalacqua, 13th Greg Wachinski, 14th Matt DeCiani, 15th Derek Jacobs, 16th Mark Sanchez, 17th Jeff Barnes, 18th Jason Baker, and 19th Greg Bartlett, and rounding out our top 20 here, Corey Cook.
And that'll leave the likes of Randy Drumheller, Andrew Layton, John Mullins, and Noah Bitts to finish out the 24 official cars that started this race tonight. And as we get set to see how the next race could play out, it's time to talk to the podium drivers, and we'll kick it off with your race winner. Al Kozlowski won the opening stage, Al, and then you take it home to win the big money up there over in Victory Lane. What's it like to take a win here at Talladega?
Baby, this is great. I've been waiting for this one for a minute. Everybody raced pretty good. There was a couple wrecks. I knew my car was fast. I just had to have the great pusher behind me. Unfortunately, I tried to take out one of my good pushers, Chris Johnson, but luckily he was able to come back, and I couldn't have done this without Josh Schaffner and Chris. I mean, they were helping me all the way through there. I mean, you need a pusher, and I had him.
Hey, you certainly had him indeed, and he helped you to take that race win tonight. Talk to us about what it must have been like out there. You started in the 9th place right in the mid-pack. What was it like for you having to work your way up to the field to take the win?
Well, if this was an A Open, I would say it was hell, but these guys are professionals. I mean, these guys are courteous, and they drive, they drive really good. So I knew whatever move I made, it wasn't going to cost me, So I was pretty confident and was able to get up there, and I don't know, I probably led the most laps this race, which felt pretty good. I mean, these guys, I don't worry about driving around them because they all can handle their car.
And, of course, when you talk about handling the cars, next week we get over to the Monster Mile at the Dover International Speedway. What's going to be your take coming into that 1 mile concrete beast?
About 6 laps, and then I'll be in the pits with engine damage.
So not very optimistic then, safe to say.
Not at all.
Well, hopefully you'll have some good luck then in Dover, and we'll be seeing you at least on the podium next week as well. Before I let you go then here out, anybody you'd like to shout out for that Speedway Angels 88?
Well, yeah, I want to give big thanks to Speedway Angels, G&G for putting this setup underneath me. You guys, I can't wait to watch this replay. I love watching the broadcast every time. And my ButtKicker had a great time tonight, so I got to give a big shout out to ButtKicker. And thank you guys very much.
Thank you all for taking the time to join us over here tonight. Congratulations on a hard-earned race win, and hopefully, well, we will be seeing you back in Victory Lane pretty soon. So we're going to move things on down now to the second place driver, and Brian, I'll pass you on down to Josh Schaffner.
The corn man himself, man. You got to be feeling pretty good, second place with the top 3 in points, not making the start here tonight. I mean, going to be scooping up some points. How you feeling about that second place?
Yeah, actually really excited to finish second. When you come to Talladega, it's, you're kind of playing Russian roulette here, and it kind of played out, through the race. And I had some, took it easy, and I was able to get some stage points, but had a couple really near misses there, and I'll be interested to go back and take a look at them. But no, G&G just we had such great teamwork. Al and Chris helped me out there once we kind of got to that final stage, and if we stuck together, we knew we'd all get good finishes, and it would have been nice to maybe be able to make a move there, but making a move there, it was just going to hurt all of us, and it was good to work with Al and Chris there, and just great night for me, and second place is kind of like a win when you come to this place for me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely a great job to you, man. That second place finish, tell us about some of the difficulties that you were facing out there. And we saw you had some, near misses and stuff like that. I mean, did you think you were going to make it this far?
Well, it definitely, maybe at a couple points of time, it wasn't looking good as cars were flashing past my windshield, but lucky to get through. And it was tough. Actually, restarts were tough. And if you were kind of the back half of the field, with the amount of damaged cars, it was really hard to get a launch here with just with the gear we're running, and I think we all fought that a little bit. I lost the draft there, I think, in the second stage, and we might have all had that issue at some point in time tonight. But yeah, it was a challenging race. You really had to be on top of your game on restarts, and then you just had to have friends, and that was critical. If you didn't have friends, it was really tough to pass, and the outside line could work, but you really had to have a lot of help. And it was good race, needed strategy, and you needed to have a good clean green flag pit stop, and all that stuff just worked out tonight.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it did. I mean, I know earlier we watched you were kind of stuck back in, outside of the top 10, and you've worked your way up to second place, man. How are you feeling about Dover? You got a lot of confidence there, or no?
Yeah, love that track. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I can be there. I know we're going to be really busy next week with planting season full swing. I hope I can make it, but if the weather's good, there's a chance I may have to take a provisional both nights, but hopefully I can make one, if not both. But we got to put the planting season ahead of this, and so we'll hopefully get the crop into May and be back full force the rest of the year.
Well, you definitely you got to have that corn. I mean, you got to have it. But
Right.
Great job to you, man. Who can we shout tonight after your second place finish?
Yeah, I got to thank Pioneer Seeds, Plenish on the Hood, Smith Farms. Shout out to Todd and Tyler. I know some guys are still watching. They were tuning in tonight. And I got to thank SGI and H&B and JMS. All our sales agencies do good work. And I got to thank the guys in G&G, Kenny, everybody, you guys up at the booth, ButtKicker, everyone that makes this league go around. But so many people to thank. And thank Kenny tonight for running the broadcast too. I know he wasn't out there racing, missed having him out there, but just appreciate all you guys' hard work to put this league on each week.
All right, well, we definitely appreciate you making it entertaining for us to watch. That's Josh Schaffner, your second place finisher. Back to you, Noah.
And that will bring us then on to the final driver on the night. It's going to be the number 7 car of Wayne Grossi taking it home here after a solid run for himself. And I have to say, Grossi, you were having a great run up there in the lead pack for a good portion of that race. Why don't we talk about strategy? What was always going to be the plan for you? Just kind of do what everybody else was doing, or did you already have a game plan in mind?
You copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, yeah, I knew it would come down to that last pit stop there. And I had, I didn't take any tires there. I just put minimum fuel in it. Probably would have been in trouble if we would have had a green and white checkered, but that was the strategy move there, in my opinion. That got us out front. And after that, with 1 to go, I decided to try to make a move, but ran out of friends, I guess, and nobody went with me, and I thought I was going to be stuck in 5th, but somehow worked my way through there and got 3rd anyway. So I'm happy for that.
And of course, Talladega is always one of those races where it's a little bit of a lottery as to who can find themselves up in front. And you were kind of around where a lot of the big ones were taking place throughout the course of the night. What was always your reaction when you saw the smoke starting to fly in front of you?
I really had to take evasive action many times. I mean, there were several instances where I was on the apron trying to avoid cars. I told myself tonight I'm just going to, just try like hell to avoid the wrecks, and I got lucky there. So.
Do you think that some of that luck could potentially help you out when we swing on over to Dover in 1 week?
I love Dover. I'm looking forward to Dover and then Kansas. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, hopefully we'll be seeing you at least on the podium, if not in victory lane at Dover as well. Before I let you go, then, Wayne, anybody you'd like to shout out for that number 7 car?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Shell Pennzoil, of course, ButtKicker, Penny in the league, you, Nolan, and thanks for the great job you guys do.
Thank you, Wayne, for taking the time to join us up here tonight. Congratulations on a 3rd place finish. Best of luck next week at the Monster Mile.
Thanks a lot.
And that's going to wrap it up for our podium drivers, and that's also going to be about all the time we're going to have for one night here from the Rock Auto 250 at the Talladega Super Speedway. Want to thank all of our fans for joining us out here for more racing action tonight. Of course, want to thank Kenny Powell for taking the time to jump out of the car and step with us here in the booth. So for myself, Nola Rempel, along with Brian Britt and Kenny Powell, want to thank everybody once again for taking the time to join us for more ISCA ButtKicker Cup Series action. We'll see you next week when we go racing in Dover.